Terrence Howard, I think he's a brilliant actor. He has decided that he doesn't want to play this role because in his method, it doesn't fit his method.
If a guy is straight, can he play a gay role and we still look at him as straight?
I was just like, wow, if he would have played this, I actually would have believed he was gay. What do you guys think about Mary J's take on being childless?
And you looking at yourself and you say, I don't think I have it in me to be a parent, then please don't try it out to see how it works.
She tried. She got married, tried to do the right thing. It just didn't work out. That's okay.
Black love to me is blackly black, black, black. And so black man with black woman.
So let's talk about it. Welcome to yet another episode of the BLC Pod.
We are back.
Pop, 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 pop. Watch us do our stuff. I'm sorry. I went to the Kendrick Lamar concert, and of course he did the pop, pop, pop. I'm like, wait on, watch us do our stuff. We appreciate y'all for tapping in and watching us do our stuff. Matter of fact, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and all that good stuff. We appreciate y'all in the comments section. I mean, they're ablaze, so keep that party going. And speaking of ablaze, check out the fire merch at the blcstore.com. We got the merch, y'all. That's right. Go ahead and cop it. And because we're doing sports now, you know what I'm saying? Shout out to Third and Shorts and my homeboy Jason Plum. But with that, we're going to have some more merch on top of that too. So stay tuned for that merch. And in a more somber tone, we miss our girl, Tia. Obviously, she's not here. We want to wish Tia the best. Girl, we miss you, girl. Hope you feel better. Get better, girl. Love, hugs, and all that good stuff. And all of that good stuff. Oh, and, man, we just doing so much over here. We got another channel, y'all. Right? We got the YouTube Clips channel, the BLC Pod Clips. That's right. Check that out. So we're just doing a lot. You feel me? But speaking of doing a lot, I'm not saying S&M shirt is doing a lot, but S&M, what's happening?
So first, yes, I love this shirt. It was by design and on purpose for today because I am going to be this weekend on Saturday in Richmond, Virginia, doing my book vendor fair event. And so I'm super excited. For those who don't know, I do have a book called Black Women Need Love Too, but I also write psychological horror/thrillers. So come check me out. You can find it on, if you're on most of the platforms, it's actually SNM Jones, but on Instagram, it's SNM Jones Writes. But with that being said, I'm super excited. And yes, this was a retro shirt because I want to put you guys in the mind frame of books.
Yes. Listen, you're going to probably have a lot of people trying to check out some books. So kudos to you for the throwback. You know what I mean? I got my guy, Just Jay, in the building. Jay, man, what's happening?
Man, life is lifing. Life is interesting. I got a chance to do things I don't normally do. Some friends invited me to a show. The show was micro dancers. So it was like little small dancers. And they put on a show, man. The world's tiniest stripper was there. I saw that, and she did a handstand, and it was like she was the same. Anyway, so I'm just out here for the conversation and to embrace all the different ways that people show up. You know what I mean? There was some representation there. It was so, I like to see everybody showing up doing their thing. I'm here for it. I'm here to talk about it. I'm probably going to offend somebody because that's the kind of day I've had. I just feel like keeping it real. So y'all, if you easily offended, you might want to just bear with me today.
Yes, I think Jay is saying, in other words, he's on one. Delvin, man, what's happening, my brother?
What's going on? Everything is good over here, man. It was a little crazy week at the gym. Normally I'm in the 5 a.m. club. I try to go first thing in the morning, and that wasn't happening this week. So I said, okay, I'm going to go in the evening with the rest of the people, and it's like a club in there. It's like Studio 54. It's nuts. Everybody is just hanging out, taking up all the equipment. It's 2-pack. So I've been a little gym discouraged this week, but I'm getting back on it. And also in my fair city, we had the big fight on the Carnival Cruise. 24 people are on the no sale list. So you shouldn't be that angry on vacation. I'm not going to be that angry when I go on vacation. I'm going to have a great time, and I will not be banned. So you guys will see me on the podcast. Try not to get banned here either. So.
Yeah, being banned on vacation is nuts.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? You're supposed to be chilling. Listen, real quickly, I did shout it out earlier. I got a chance to go see Kendrick Lamar. He was in the A. Shout out to my LB who invited me. It was a cool concert. It was him and SZA. I think the biggest takeaway for me was I would have preferred a Drake concert. The other thing I also want to mention real quickly, too. I mean, there was some lows in the show, man. I'm like, y'all having fun? Because I couldn't hear the excitement from the audience. There were certain songs where it was like, yeah, Euphoria came on and we was getting it. There were other songs where it was like, oh, this must be intermission or something. Is there something else going on here? I'm just keeping it a buck. But also, you know what I also realized too? I really love being right sometimes. There's been a long period of time where I was right, but I didn't like being right. But I'm in the season of liking being right because the Lakers are no longer in the playoffs, which means that LeBron can't win a championship. I think I
The
said that a
evil
couple
laugh.
episodes, right? So sorry, not sorry. You know what I'm saying? I was right about that. And then I remember the draft happened. Wasn't Travis Hunter's old lady there too? I mean,
I
I
didn't
don't know.
see her. I was looking. I didn't see her.
You didn't see her, Jay?
I know. No, and I see he got the phone call. He stood up in his pink coat. He was like, yeah. I did not see her anywhere nearby. I didn't.
Listen, I'm just calling out the moments when your boy is right, okay? I like being right sometimes. I'm probably right more often than y'all want to admit, but shout out to them making me right. LeBron, you did your thing, bro. We'll see you next season. With that being said, let's talk about it. No jersey for me. I get to keep my hairline and everything. I love you, Anthony Edwards. He's my new favorite player. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? So listen, the first story, I'm sorry, I mean, it is what it is. You know what I mean? But so let's get into the show, right? We definitely want to talk about this next topic because, I mean, Terrence Howard got to be stopped. I mean, maybe not. I love his conversations. Them brother be talking some stuff. I did not know all this stuff about him, but apparently he was talking to, I think it was Bill Maher. Why was he rolling a blunt or a J? I mean, I'm with it. Shout out to him and Bill, right? So he was talking about how I guess he could have been in the Marvin Gaye biopic, I guess starring as Marvin Gaye, even though, I mean, I get whatever. But the point is, he was saying that, I don't know if he was offered the role, but he couldn't play the role because he was told by Quinta Jones that Marvin was gay, right? So what are y'all thoughts in regards to him as an actor saying, hey, man, that's not my vibe. I couldn't play that role, right? And so was he wrong for saying that? I feel like, why is this even news? And then the other quick question for y'all is this, though. Like, even if he was a straight actor, would you look at a straight actor differently if he convincingly played a gay role? So let's talk about it.
Yeah, I want Jay to jump on this because he just got done saying that he's on one today. And so I thought he was going to jump on it.
I tried to send nonverbal cues, give y'all some space, but let's get it. So now I think there's nothing wrong with the man saying he didn't want to play the part. If you listen to what he said, right? First off, let me say, Terrence Howard, I think he's a brilliant actor. He's often played characters that I thought were like, you know what I'm saying, deep and three-dimensional and nuanced. You know what I'm saying? They were quirky, but they were funny. You know what I mean? But, you know what I'm saying, he decided, you know what I'm saying, as good of an actor he is with the awards that he's won, things that he's done, he has decided that he doesn't want to play this role because in his method, it doesn't fit his method. That's what he's saying. It doesn't fit his method. He has to really embody a person, walk in their shoes, step inside of that person to be that part. He said he can't do that. He can't get in touch with that part of himself because that part of himself does not exist. You can't fault the man for that. That's his truth. Let the man walk in his truth. Right? And now to Nick's point, let's be honest, Terrence Howard, he's a smooth brother. He can get probably any woman he wants. But he talks real soft, right? He kind of like laid back, you know, and he's light-skinned. So if you're going to talk real soft and be light-skinned, people going to play you soft, man. And if you end up playing Luther and kissing dudes, it's going to be all over. Because you're going to play her too well. And people going to think you are straight-up gay. Like, who? Will Smith, baby. That's who. Yeah, I say my piece and I hush. Go ahead.
I don't even know what to say. So, Delvin, I'm going to pass it to you because that was funny.
Yeah, I kind of echoing what Jay said. I think it can be done. He doesn't want to do it. That's not his thing. I completely understand that. And if I think for most guys, I mean, if the money's right, a lot of people are going to go for that role. But I think for what he was saying, the way I understood it is him not being able to do it convincingly. And, I don't want to be in a situation where I have to kiss a guy. You got to kind of respect that. There are guys who will do it. The show, what's that show? P-Valley. I'm told the guy who plays Little Murder, he's straight, got a wife and kids and everything. And he plays probably one of the most convincing gay characters I've ever seen. Obviously can be done. Maybe he'll take it. I don't know, but that's his
Pause.
He's willing to do it. Pause.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I see this is what type of time we on today. So let me just go ahead and say this. Hopefully I'm not on that same type of time. You know, I'm trying to be somewhat prim and proper here. Okay, so I'm just kidding. So with that being said, first of all, I'm glad Terrence Howard didn't take this position or this
Pause.
right? I was like, oh no.
It's
And
okay.
so anyways, because I think that a lot of time we sell out against our own best wishes and so forth. And so for me, I was just like, wow, if he would have played this, I actually would have believed he was gay, because most of the men who played gay end up being bisexual at some point or later on in life, or at least the ones that I've seen. And I'm just like, wow. And he's a method actor. As a matter of fact, he's such a method actor that when he played Maine in Hustle and Flow, I was like, dang, did he grow up in the hood? Knowing damn well he didn't grow up in the hood. But he played this character so convincing and had his perm that he had me questioning who the hell he was. So no, he should not play it. I'm glad he chose not to play it. And I think while some straight men will play it, it actually gives me side eye, because I'm like, are you bi-curious perhaps? Is this an opportunity for you to explore, or what the deal may be? And even if you're saying, well, I'm straight, I have a husband, I have a wife and kids, then it's like, is that your beard? So hell yeah, I'm gonna have all type of questions, because in this day and age particularly, there's a lot of gay actors out there. So why do you have to go and get a straight man, regardless of the fact that he's a perfectionist and a method actor in his role, to go and play a gay man? Go ahead and get one of the gay actors or actor. Man, I'm just messing up all around here to play the role. And so please don't judge me on the LGBTQ community. I believe that there's enough gay men or bi men who could play this successfully without them having to tap into Terrence Howard, because Terrence Howard is a great actor. And sometimes you can still be a great actor and don't have to, I call it a sacrifice. Like when they feel that they have to either wear a dress or they have to go ahead and put on, play a gay character to break into the Hollywood. You know what? Issa Rae just recently played a gay character, and you can tell technically it didn't fit for her quite right in Black Mirror. But she tried her best, and she incorporated some of her personality in it. But you could tell that she was actually straight, because it didn't come off as convincing. But yet there's a huge major kissing scene in there, and I'm like, is this I don't want to call it a humiliation ritual, but is this the path in Hollywood to get to the next level? Is that signifying something? And I believe they can get to the next level without sacrificing who they are as a person. So.
Oh, I got to push back on some of that. First of all, you mentioned Issa Rae. I mean, come on, man. It's not the same. Women and men are not the same. So I don't even know why you muddled the waters by bringing up Issa Rae. Like, yes, ladies can go out there and be as gay as they want to, okay? What some of them can't do is fuck with black guys. Like some of the white actresses, they can't do certain things with black guys. That's really like the only real line, for real. Everything else is woohoo, have that, right? Now, I also got to push back on the whole gay actors thing, because clearly you don't know how Hollywood, is. Because listen, how many bankable actors can you point to in terms of like gay actors? I mean, I'm not, knocking anybody. I'm just saying, like, when you think about all the leading men, because it's also about box office draw. So you got to find the actors that's going to bring people to the seats, right? So yes, if you can find an actor who fits that, great. But thirdly, like, come on, man, this is acting. You know what I'm saying? These niggas ain't generals, but they play one on TV. You know what I'm saying? These niggas ain't husbands, but they play one in a sitcom, right? These niggas ain't even upstanding fathers married to doctors for real. Low key, behind the scenes, they're out here slipping Mickeys to bitches to have sex with them in their little corpse-like states. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bring Bill Cosby into this, but my point is that, right? I mean, these are actors, for God's sake, right? They should be able to play whatever role, now granted, that they feel comfortable with, right? So I'm not mad at that. Like, each actor has to figure out. But it's a cop-out for real, because if Terrence Howard is being honest, I mean, if you can figure out how to be an abuser and you're not that, or other roles and you're not that. Yes, you can tap into your creativity. I would just prefer for him to keep it a buck and be like, nah, I ain't doing that gay shit, and keep it moving, because that's really at the heart of what he's saying. But he got to be political, and he articulated himself. But the truth of that, that's what he's also saying. Lastly, I get there's an expectation for Black actors to bend over backwards when it comes to Hollywood, right? And so many of them are willing to do so, sometimes having to find their way only into Hollywood through the back door. But at the same time, kudos to the brothers out there who go stand on their 10 and be like, nah, I'm not finna slide in that direction, or at least allow you to slide in my direction in that way. And so I get it. There is a lot of complexity there. And so people have to navigate. Well, y'all rewatch this. This is like a battle rap. We have to rewatch this to catch these lines like SNM did. You're like, oh, did he say that? Yeah, I sure did. So in conclusion, I want to go back to one thing though. Is a question for y'all. And I think SNM hit on it, so maybe for the fellas. If a guy is straight, can he play a gay role and we still look at him as straight in the Black community? Because I felt like SNM hinted on it. So Jay, definitely what your thoughts real quick before we move on to the next topic.
My knee-jerk reaction is no, he cannot. But I think maybe on his body of work, if he has 30 movies where he's been like, you know what I'm saying, super duper top macho, even, in this, like whatever. He's got a body work where he's been, I don't know. No, I'm sorry. I think Delvin he drove it home with the dude from a P-Valley show. I thought the dude was gay from seeing the show. I thought, oh yeah, I'm like a gay. I'm glad he got a gay part because I think he's gay. I didn't know he had a family, so he convinced me. He was a great actor, and now honestly, when I see him again, I'm gonna be looking to be like, so yeah, no, you shouldn't do it. I mean, if you're that good, we're gonna believe it and not be sure. I'm sorry, it's our relationship with TV.
Sorry. Delvin, how about you?
Yeah, I think so, because and to your point, Nick, why is it like, okay, I can believe that Denzel Washington isn't a stone cold killer in real life, but if you kiss a dude, oh yeah, that's totally believable. Yeah, that's something different. I can believe this other actor eating beating women's ass and chopping them up in little pieces, but this, him grabbing another guy, that's 100% authentic, man. That's not acting, that's real life. For Black people, we have kind of this weird schizophrenic relationship with the gay community, and this is just it kind of playing it out. So I don't know. I think it's a weird disassociation for what we choose to believe and what we choose to not believe.
Real quick, before I pass it to S&M, I'm glad you chose to believe that, but I actually agree with Jake 1,000%. I was just laying out the case for both sides, but if you're asking me specifically, no, bruh, you gay as hell, okay? Because most of the straight dudes I know wouldn't even play like that. There's other roles out here, my guy. I'm sorry. Yes, you can do it. Yes, you can stand on 10, but yes, we reserve the right to question your shit from henceforth. You know what I'm saying? So yes, it sounds good in theory. You know what I'm saying? Sorry, Delvin, you fell for the act.
Nope, that's where I'm at with it. We got a very schizophrenic relationship with this shit.
We do.
No, it's not schizophrenic. It's straightforward. Don't do that shit if you want to be confused with the shit. I mean, I'm not knocking it. Do what you do. I'm saying is there's clear lines. I don't pretend to be a thing if I don't want to be associated with being a thing. It doesn't matter if it's like a criminal, or a Kappa, or you know what I'm saying, whatever. You know,
Shots fired.
If it's not my type of time, it's not my type of crime. Go ahead, SNL.
With that being said, like Cat Williams say, sometimes you just gotta tell Diddy no. Well, in this case,
no.
Terrence Howard said, hell no. Or maybe he said hell to the no. So either way it go, it was a hell no in there. And speaking of hell no, do you know who else just said hell no? That would be the husband of this married woman who apparently borrowed money, $3,800, from her ex to pay the rent. And so she basically didn't understand why her husband had an issue with it and why it was such a big deal. And since you all are men on the panel, I would love to get your thoughts on this. Was she right or was she wrong? And if so, why? Like, why was it such a big deal one way or another?
Because I think nobody's just going to give you $3,800 just for old time's sake. I mean, you had to do something for that. Like, we got to stop playing like, oh, you know what? We go way back. Here, girl, here $3,800. You know, I got you. Don't worry about it. You know, maybe I'm poor. I don't know. But I just feel for $3,800, she had to do something for that. And the old man should feel some kind of way about that. Look, if we can't make the rent, we just going to be in a cardboard box on Figueroa. That's just going to be what it is, right? Or we're going to Uber or DoorDash. We're going to figure this out. But you're not going back to your ex for $3,800. That's crazy. And how did he even know that we needed $3,800? You had to tell him, hey, they're behind on the rent. So you had to have a conversation about him, and you're talking our business to your ex. So now we got an even bigger problem. So that's why I feel about this shit. She was out of line.
Yeah, I think he should be upset. He should be upset because his marriage is over. It's over whether he knows it or not. At least the marriage, the way he thinks about it, it's a wrap, bruh. I mean, look, pack your bags, man. She first is giving you a vote of no confidence. He gave you a vote of no confidence when, regardless of whatever you said about her and that dude, she was like, I know he got it. And she called that dude. And she did and said whatever she had to do, whether it was platonic or not, to get what she had to get. And she did it on top of you, sir, overlooking you like, I don't really see him like that. So, sir, yes, you should be upset. What you should also be is looking for your next one. Look, if you want a woman that, I feel like he should be upset, not because it was an ex. I feel like he should be upset because she moved against the way he thought they should be moving. Now, it don't matter how far back they were, right? It doesn't matter. It does matter. I'm sorry. Okay, but listen, even if they are a little behind, he can still be working on the plan. All right. She just said no confidence. And if you women ain't got no confidence in you, dog, you all need to go separate ways because she's gonna be gang in your ear the whole time. So be mad and be going.
Just to add one thing, they received an eviction notice. So it was to that point.
Okay. I mean, listen, here's my thing, right? I think, yes, he can be mad, but I also think he can be accountable, right? Like, I hear what y'all saying, but how mad can he be, though? Like, I don't want to, stop people from having feelings. So, yes, can he be mad? Yes, he can be mad. But does he have a right to be mad? Or what should his course of action be? For example, right? SNM just said an eviction notice was submitted into evidence, which means that over the course of time, he had a chance to have a plan, right? He supposedly should have been working on said plan, right? Now, I get it. I like the point that Delvin made because that's the point ultimately I would have landed. But before we get there, though, how mad could he have been? Because he's not handling his business. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's an argument to be made that he should be looking out like, damn, shorty, handle that. You know what I'm saying? Like, when I was unable to handle that, like, he ain't had nobody he could have borrowed the money from. He had no credit cards, no other resources to stop his family from going out there. Now, I would have asked the same thing of her, but apparently, no. She only had one person she knew who had the $3,800, and she was resourceful to go out there and get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, what happens is niggas be having too much goddamn pride. Come on, man. You know what I'm saying? If you found out that your wife is now a hoe willing to go out there on the track for $3,800, now you have a resource at home. You want to sit there and kick the bitch out. Where else would you find $3,800? You clearly, on your own, couldn't get it. Now, if she is still willing to hold under your program, she is now an asset. Maybe you didn't know that she could unlock this part of her. I don't understand where y'all niggas be going off the ego first. His ego should already be in the toilet the minute the eviction notice came. You know what I'm saying? If he is not out there selling dick to pay his rent, why is he mad that shorty went out there and was super resourceful? And now, and check this. If she did give him no coochie, wow, you was able to finesse 3,800. Now, whether or not I believe it, we'll see. But the point is, you got to give her a chance. You know what I'm saying? Because truth be told, she's the last chance that you got. So come on, man, what we talking about?
I mean, I agree with you. He should have been, doing this thing. I don't know. Selling dick, $60 fresh, no STDs. There's a lot of shit that should have happened before the eviction notice. I get all of that. The problem, I thought you were going to bring it up. The issue is, what do we do next month? Do we have to go back to this nigga next month? Like you said, hey, if we still down bad again next month, she just needs to bounce. I mean, she just needs to go back to the nigga with the $3,800.
No,
y'all
she done showed you what she's about, bro. So you can put her on the track, fam.
No, she should have started. She should have been on the OnlyFans selling the feet pics or doing whatever. I mean,
time to put her on the track.
Yeah, that's right.
Get that OF going.
Make lemonade. Make lemonade.
She might be fat and can't dance. I mean, maybe she can't do strip for amateur night,
bro. If homeboy is not creative and he didn't see these opportunities, he can't get mad that now she's unlocked the door for that. Come on, man. He got to get creative. Get out your own way, my brother. You know what I'm saying? Go ahead, SNM.
So I'm going to say this was 100% ego. So I'm going to be a little flippy floppy on this one, but let's start with the part that I agree with Nick. This was 100% his ego getting in play, because technically, why the hell were they down like that they end up getting an eviction notice? Like, where was the conversation? Where was the help? Where was the plan to make sure that they didn't get evicted or receive the eviction notice? And so she's sitting here because he's like supposed to be the provider and protector, supposedly. I'm going to just say provider in this case. And but he ain't providing the shelter. And so she was left out, and she was about to be asked out on the streets. And she said, hey, I'm going to do this for us. I'm going to take one for the team, for us. And I'm going to go and ask my ex. I don't know why this is the only person she could have asked, because maybe that person had the resources. I don't know if she had a barter system in place to get that $3,800, if it was transactional or not. I don't know. But what I do know is that she was resourceful. She saw a problem, she provided a solution, and then that solution worked for the both of them. Now they both got a house over their head. As a matter of fact, he need to go thank that dude. He need to be like, yo, you know what? I was slipping. You know what? You want to be a side dude? You officially the side dude. You my side dude too. You know what I'm saying? Dap it out. Because, you
Take
know, they
ownership.
say ain't no fun if the homies don't have none. So even though they ain't homies, they can be homie now because he don't put down and help sure that he got a roof over his head. Matter of fact, that's his sugar daddy too. And so I'm just going to say, embrace your sugar daddy. You know what I'm saying? Now, on the personal side, my husband would have kicked my ass 7 ways to Sunday, because he would have been confused as to why the hell did I not trust him to make this happen. And he also would have been confused as to why the hell I'm still talking to my ex like that, where he comfortable enough to give me that $3,800, because is it a loan? She said she borrowed, but and then my other question is, why the hell she even told him that she borrowed from the ex? If anything, she should have been like, yo, I pulled this money to the cash advance out. I got this, and so we can take care of that. Now, he may have been like, well, why you ain't do it all along? But either way it goes, she could have found another way. She could have been like, yo, I borrowed this for my grandpappy,
Could have lied.
my mama.
Could have lied. I got you.
My
I
mom
heard a
from
lie.
the other side. Or she could have just been like, yo, I won the lottery. A scratch off ticket. Yes, she could have lied to save his ego if his ego was that fragile. But she thought they had a great relationship, that she could be transparent and say, I got this from my ex. You know, he was like, yo, you got this? How you get this money? She probably like, oh man, yes, I had to go talk to my ex. But she owned up to it. She manned up, womaned up to it, and said she got it from the ex. So to me, I'm just like, wow, this was an amazing feat, amazing woman. You got a down ass broad, or because I was thinking the other word, but I don't like to call women that. And so she was ride or die. You can't get more ride or die than that, to go ask your ex to help you with your next, especially if your next is your husband. And so, you know, now he just need to recognize that there may have been some exchanges that may or may not have taken place, but we don't know for sure. So go ahead and just suck this up, call him sugar daddy, and now he's y'all in a, you know what? Matter of fact, this is the opportunity to engage in polyamory.
If she can get $3,800, then they're losing money.
Listen, I mean, listen. You know who else is so invested in her man? I mean, her son. You know what I mean? Jayden Daniels' mom. You know what I mean? You want to talk about being really invested? I mean, listen, there are some people who feel like, yo, she's just an overprotective mom holding it down by now. I don't know if you guys saw, there was a clip where there's a party that he was at just doing his thing, and Mom Dukes was in the background. The brother's 25. Mom Dukes is in the background. You know what I mean? I think he was like dating, I forgot her name, but she was kind of in the foreground, all up in his business. Apparently, she's trying to make sure ain't no hoochies trying to just jump on this gravy train. But some people are questioning whether or not she is too invested, even for a mom of a 25-year-old. I've heard what's the term again you guys mentioned in pre-pro? Son-husband?
Son-husband.
Yes. So is this, I mean, I know it's a thing, so maybe we can talk a little bit about if we think there is much ado about nothing here, but also expand the conversation so we can talk about those women who are marrying their sons. What are you guys' thoughts on this conversation?
I would love to jump on this one initially, because initially when I first saw this, I was like, this is a overprotective mom who's making sure the scallywags isn't trying to take advantage of her son. She's making sure that she's there for him, providing him guidance and everything. But then I saw the clip where she was sitting between him and a girl, and he was talking over the girl. They were talking over the mother to the girl, and likewise. And then I saw another clip where she was dancing in the background like they in a club. And I was like, wait a minute, hold on a second. This ain't right. So now I'm starting to feel like maybe she's blocking her son from actually being in a relationship. And this is taking that whole mama's boy to a whole new term, because the mama's boy actually was part of that husband-son or son-husband relationship dynamic, where in reality, because he didn't have, and I don't even know if the father was in the home or not. So please let me know if that's the case. But oftentimes when we see this, and especially in the Black community, it's because there is a absentee of the father in the home. And so they start treating their children, and particularly their son, as if that's their husband, and making him the man of the house, and putting these expectations on him to put her first. And so, and it's part of that, they start blocking other women, actually get jealous of other women who approach their son, because they're already thinking that woman is going to replace them in their son's life. And so initially I was like, oh, she's just being overprotective. But then when she was popping up, they said she pop up in clubs, she pop up at parties with them. And I'm like, it's not that much over. Where your man at, woman? Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you everywhere with your son? He 25. Let that man grow up. Take the titty out his mouth. And so it was like, I don't understand this, right? Exactly. Like, put him on a bottle. Let's get some weaning going on here. And I'm just confused by the whole dynamic when I see this. And I understand where it originated, but we're not going to talk about the origin story of how this mother, husband, son situation came about, because it goes back to a time where women, particularly, well, I'll just talk about it anyways. Slave women felt like they had to protect their sons, and so they were overprotected from there, and it just continued on. It's like a whole bunch of different dynamics in place, but we don't have time to talk about all that. So I'm just going to say, get you a man, get out your son's life like that. You can still be there, but you don't have to be literally blocking, because at this point, you are cock blocking. Now, I'm pretty sure he's still getting some on the side or wherever the hell he getting some at, but you are interfering with his ability to have relationships with other women, because you're right there in the center. And nothing say I'm in the center like a picture where he's literally sitting on this side and the woman sitting on that side and you sitting right in the middle.
Well, if he had wanted his mom to move over, he should have asked her to. And the fact that he didn't, say maybe he wasn't really into that girl. Maybe he just was looking over like, maybe. And his mom was like, girl, her breath stank. Or maybe his mama had the inside read. His mom is his wingman. Okay? She's his wingman. When she sees the right woman, she'll tap him on the shoulder. She'll be like, baby, that one right there. They'll pull him. Who knows what they'll all do together? You know what I'm saying? That's his wing woman, man. Y'all misinterpreting the relationship. You know what I'm saying? Because either that, or I think she's messing up as a parent, right? Because as a parent, you're supposed to prepare your child for life without you, right? The ultimate goal is to build them up so they don't need you. They can do what they got to do, right? For when you're gone, because we all leave off the scene at some point. So if she got to be next to him all the time for supervisory purposes, and she messing up, because at 25, you should have raised this man to go in and be able to read a room. If he can't read a room, let's put him on some games so he can do that. Right? So that's my thing with it. Overprotective, I don't know if she's overprotective. I would hope she's there for the right reasons. But I would say if she is there, because she doesn't think this man can discern, you know what I'm saying, the right from the wrong when he's out, then, you know what I'm saying, I would say, ma'am, I think, hopefully your intensive training is done by the time he really hits his streak and stardom, because otherwise this is not going to end well. Yeah, that's what I got to say about it. But anyway, maybe there's nothing nasty going on. Y'all so nasty all the time.
Right. I mean, she, they say your kid. She may know her son. She may know he's got a disposition for thoughts and loose women, and I gotta protect them. But to your point as well, and I think because I go in on the son husband. She's already failed. If he's 25 and he can't handle these situations with these women, he just let the women have him. She's already failed. It's already a wrap. The minute she's out of his sight, he is going to dive face first, no pun intended, into the thoughts. It's already a wrap. So she's just delaying the inevitable at this point. I get how the son husband phenomenon happens, but at some point it just gets to be really creepy and really weird. And me being at the after hours spot with moms, that's hey, love moms. We're not doing that. I'm not passing blunts in front of mom. We're not, knocking back, mixed drinks and shit. That's fucking weird. So I think she should just let the thoughts have them. It's already over. It's a wrap.
Let the thoughts have them. Are you kidding me, bruh? Like, come on,
It's
man.
over. She already felt he can't handle it.
Let the thoughts have him. Come on, bro. She is way too invested. Family, way too invested. You know
she
what I'm
should have
saying?
fixed that problem 6 years ago.
What are you talking about? Which
25? He's a grown man. He can buy firearms.
No, you're saying, hey, let the thoughts have them. That's not going to be a message that's going to resonate with a mom who's concerned about thoughts after she's spent countless of hours and money and time investing to put him in a position to be as successful just for some random fucking thought to come through and then fucking steal him away, isolate her, and get her out the picture. Now she's barely seeing her grandkids, barely being involved in her son's life after she low-key has had a big part of making him who he is today, right? Let's be honest, right? Most of us as men in this conversation right now, if we were looking at our son behaving like that, we'd be like, what the fuck did I do wrong? Most of us would not be okay with that behavior because we understand part of our job, low-key, when we're in the home, is to say, nah, bitch, this is my woman, okay? She's my woman first, and she's your mom second, okay? Let's have some little compartmentalization real quick, but apparently that didn't happen here. So one can only surmise that maybe, like for her, she poured in all this investment into him, understandably so, as a parent, right? Before we get into the mom-son thing, what happened with the guy, I forgot his name, he plays for Indiana. His pops is out there on the fucking court talking shit to Giannis or whatever, right? And so there are some parents who are living vicariously. There are some parents who are so overinvested. There are some parents who are so proud. There are some parents who are just doing way too fucking much, you know what I'm saying, at the end of the day. So I think that's part of the conversation, but also part of the conversation is whether or not in our community we have women, because of emotional reasons, because maybe certain men are not in their lives, or because they're just not really able to deal with or kind of go through what they're going through emotionally or whatnot, are sitting there putting too much on these kids. And so these kids are emotionally kind of trapped low key. Like, I get he may just want to go outside, but it's also hard for him to tell moms like, yo, moms, I just want to do my thing. And honestly, what I wanted to kind of end with was really this being a cautionary tale, because a lot of times, to your point, Delvin, at some point, maybe homie decides, you know what, I'm grown now. I could do what I want to do. And so moms may find themselves being isolated. The worst case scenario coming into fruition, all because they were concerned that something was going to happen. But now they're able to kind of like just, I guess they're trying to avoid it, but by like doing what they're doing, they're kind of making it happen at the same time, if that makes sense.
It makes perfect sense.
So, but it's a thing. And there's a lot of people going, I think there are some parents who are not, like kids who are not rich and famous or athletes or whatever, who have moms. We call it the mama's boy scenario, or sometimes that's a situation. But this whole husband-son thing can certainly be a problem. And I feel like we're kind of seeing it here. But we're going to wish the young man the best, and hopefully he can find some space for himself and the hoes and the thoughts that he want to get with.
Right, because you think at some point she just, if it really is that issue, she's just delaying the inevitable, right? If you can't protect him forever,
Yeah, I was just joking a little bit earlier, right? Because I agree with you in terms of this shouldn't be a thing, but I do understand that sometimes it is coming from a good place, and there is a certain level of investment that a person makes, and there are some legitimate reasons for them to be behaving that way, but there's also some other ones where they shouldn't be. But go ahead, SNM.
Yeah, so I was just going to add that in the end, I hope that it's just her being an overprotective mother, because at the end of the day, she was trying to avoid the Dreas, right? The women who prey on these young bucks while they're starting off in their careers and so forth. And I just think it's time for her to somewhat let the training wheels off, unless she's actually like his money manager and so forth like that. And then in which case she just needs to guide him, because ultimately as a parent, she do need to let him go. You know how the little birds fly out the nest and so forth? Yeah. She need to let the bird fly, and at some point that's what's going to happen.
She is his agent, though. I believe she became an NBA agent, so she is intertwined in his business. But go ahead.
Okay, no, that's what I'm saying. So it's excellent if she's his agent, because then she operating, it's her job to be protective. It's just like I said, the whole clubbing thing is a little weird and creepy to me. But hey, it is what it is. If it works for them, I love it. And at the end of the day, I'm happy to see that he's a respectful son son, right? And so with that being said about sons, I can tell you who don't have a son or a daughter for that matter, and that is Mary J. Blige. And you know what? She says she loves her freedom. She is happy that she didn't have any kids because she got plenty of nephews and nieces, and she does not want to have time to find babysitters or do anything that basically would take away from her freedom and her time. Now, there's a second part to that, but before we go to that second part, I'm just curious as to what do you guys think about Mary J's take on being childless, but not only just childless, but now she's also single. So
Well, listen, I know we talked about this before, right? I'm going to just jump up in here because I know part of it was whether or not she was being selfish too, right? For not having any kids. Because I think that's part of the conversation for a lot of women now who are saying, hey, if I can't find my guy, I'll just be the rich auntie or whatever. I guess as part of that, it's like, hey, if I can't find the right relationship, I won't have any kids. So there are a lot of women who are choosing not to have kids, or at least that's part of the conversation. Now, I want to be fair to Mary, though, because I think in the context of the conversation, they were asking her in retrospect. I think she's like 51. She was married to Kendu, who had about 3 kids. So at the time, she talked about being good with being a stepmom or whatever. But then when they're asking her about like babysitters or whatever, I mean, this is Mary J. fucking Blige that we're talking about. I don't think in terms of being able to afford a babysitter, that's going to be a real issue for real, right? So I think what I saw, and again, this is my humble opinion, and I said at the top of the show, I'm pretty right a lot. So maybe I'm right here, but again, this is just my opinion. I'm thinking in how I heard her say what she said, it was more like, hey, I am where I am in my life and I'm content, right? I don't want to necessarily be regretful or feel like, hey, I didn't do a certain thing. I think she might have been open at a point in time to having kids, which is different than a woman who is like dead set early on for not wanting to have kids, right? I think she was also married to somebody who had kids, and maybe that was part of what made it work. So maybe she didn't feel the pressure of having to have kids for a person who didn't have any either. But at the same time, I got the impression that she was open to necessarily having kids. It just didn't work out. And I think that's different. You know what I'm saying? I think people who earnestly gave it a shot, who knows if she has other issues or whatever, but I think she was in the game. She got married. She did her thing. It didn't work out. And now she's saying, hey, I'm happy. I'm content with my life. That is completely different than I think some of these young women who are out here abdicating their responsibilities to humanity, for example. That's completely different. We got young people right now who don't understand that life is bigger than just them. You know what I'm saying? And so I think if we're talking about people making that decision, sometimes I do think it's selfish for so many reasons. Like, for example, when I hear about the Ebony Kays of the world, the reason why I think that's selfish, for example, is she ended up still having a kid by herself, right? Her selfishness probably came in the form of not being able to be in a relationship with another human being, not being able to plot, to compromise or establish a relationship. So because you want to be selfish as I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it, like Tracy Ellis was talking about, right? Then you get to the point where I really want to have a kid. So you don't care about being in a relationship anymore, even though you once did. And so now you're having a kid by yourself. To me, like that just is an example of, I think people are moving selfishly. Right. And so, yes, some of them may not be in Ebony K's position to decide to want to have kids dolo. But what I am saying is that I think people are fooling themselves. I think some women are fooling themselves if they really believe they don't have that innate desire to maybe still want to be a parent. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? I think there are some women who really feel that way. But I think there's also some women who are tricking themselves to feel that way and then find themselves later in life coming to that realization that, damn, I have regrets. You get what I'm saying? So I'm just cautioning those women to say, hey, listen, dig deep within yourself to wonder why you're not having what you want or why you may not want a thing. Is that your dream or is that not your dream? Because I think that's where the regret comes in. But if you're going into it understanding specifically why you don't want to have a kid, I get it. But listen, man, humanity needs to create. I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? The responsibility, God put that on y'all. So it is an extra responsibility that y'all have. I do think it's one that requires way more responsibility than y'all currently are giving having kids. You got women out here indiscriminately having children and who shouldn't be, right? And then you have the women who probably should be having kids abdicating their responsibility. What do you think is going to happen when the people who shouldn't be having kids are the ones having kids and the ones who shouldn't be abdicating their responsibility, right? Where do you think that's going to leave humanity at large? And so I'm going to just laugh at that for now.
Okay.
Stop being selfish.
Mary J don't want no kids, and that's just fine. Look, somebody got to be the nice auntie. Somebody got to take the load off the parents when the parents need a break. You know what I mean? There's roles to be filled. I'm proud of her for saying she didn't want to be the full-time parent. saying she didn't have that kind of energy. So, you know what? Because that's about people's responsibility to humanity. Your responsibility to humanity is to not raise little effed up human beings because you didn't have the time to give them any attention or any care. That's people's responsibility to humanity. Not to just give birth to one, but to raise one up to be a decent being that could then raise other decent beings. Not these simple, single-minded, almost single-cell-brained people who got Orange Guy in office. And I'm not saying that, Republicans shouldn't be born, because I don't think it's along party lines. I think there's a certain kind of ideology of person who doesn't view the other human being as an equally valid person. And I think that's problematic. So I'm saying if a person's so selfish, as you put it, to say, I am too selfish to go full-time parenting, I don't want to mess up a human being, I'm just going to be the part-time. I'll come in, I'll be the auntie, I'll be whatever. I say, I salute you, ma'am. Thank you for your clarity. Thank you for your self-awareness. Thank you for not getting in a role that you were unfit for. Thank you for not burdening society with children who are looking for a parent and you off doing something else. I appreciate you for standing in your role, auntie.
The person who's making the decision to not have kids, do you think that they're more or less likely to be a responsible human being than a person who's out here indiscriminately having kids?
I think the person who's making the decision to not have kids is a more responsible human being.
You're painting the picture that a person who's choosing not to have kids as if they're unfit. There are some people who are fit to have kids, but they're just making the choice not to. So I want to draw that distinction real quick.
I mean, people can make the choice for themselves, and within themselves they go, do I have the capacity within me to do this job with whatever I think it requires? And if you look at yourself and you say, I don't think I have it in me to be a parent, then please don't try it out to see how it works, because somebody's buying a lifelong subscription to your crappy service as a parent. So that's what I'm saying.
I'm only saying, I'm just only pushing back that there are a myriad of reasons on why a person would choose to not be a parent, and being unfit does not have to be at the core of them. A person can choose to not want to have a kid for a myriad of reasons. And the unfitness may not be the only one. I'm just drawing that distinction.
Right.
You agree or disagree with that?
I know. I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah, no, I think her, staying on her decision or just making peace with it, I think that is the responsible thing to do. I think the world needs more fun aunties. Well, we may have enough. Who knows? But, deciding to not have kids for, a number of reasons. It could be, her career. I don't even think we could say she didn't want to have kids for, she tried. She got married, tried to do the right thing. If it just didn't work out, that's okay. Angela Bassett, she did the surrogacy thing if she decided she wanted to change her mind at some point. So she's got opportunities still if she wanted to, but I think she just made peace with it. And I think that's the much more responsible way to go to humanity versus I'm going to just have a kid regardless of the circumstances, mentally, internally or externally. And I'll just, pawn them off on the maid and the nanny just because I've got the money to do it, and provide an actual healthy upbringing for their kids. So, salute to her for, being honest and not putting the kid in a really shitty situation.
Okay. Delvin, I got to push back and ask you, what if she's not, or whoever is not unfit, and it's not a shitty situation? A person may just decide, you know what, I don't want my body to get stretch marks, right? We keep on pigeonholing it to just, oh, I'm unfit, or oh, whatever. I'm talking about if a person is selfish, I think you can find a line where it's like, oh, wow, that's the reason why. So y'all keep on talking about unfit and all that. So what if it's not that? What if she just simply is like, you know what, I don't want to get stretch marks. She could be married, she could be in a relationship. Like, people have autonomy. There's a bunch of reasons why a woman can decide that she does not want to have a child, right? So we're trying to just isolate for where it could be selfish, right? So yes, I think we all can agree. If she's like, oh my God, I got a health concern or whatever, cool. But I'm talking about if it's not something about her being unfit, how would you look at it any different? Are you know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter what the reason is, as long as she just doesn't want to have it, you're cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think the whole, just using the stretch mark thing, for example, I've actually had that conversation with somebody in real life. I'm like, yeah, I thought it was kind of fucked up and narcissistic and weird. You know what? Hey, if you're that narcissistic, that you're concerned about that's going to manifest itself in other ways when the kid's here. So you probably shouldn't have a kid.
I agree with you on that perspective, because I don't necessarily view it as selfish. I view it as being considerate. They're being considerate because they recognize their limitations, wants, needs, or desires, and it doesn't align with having a child. So therefore, in consideration for that child and its upbringing, they do not want to subject that child to what their own personal iterations such as the stretch marks or such as they want to travel or they want freedom or so forth. And they can actually view that child with resentment, even though they'll come to say, oh, but I love my child. I love this about my child and I wouldn't have it any other way. But in the back of their mind, there may be some way that they may treat that child. I actually think it's consideration, once again, because while you may call it selfish, there's other things in the world why people today, at least women today, are saying no, such as the fact that the increase in school shootings and whatnot. So I bring a child into this world and only have to fear that this child is going to be unalive at a school shooting. Or it could be because of the constant rising cost of childcare and the fact that matter of fact, most childcare costs as much as a mortgage, if not more nowadays. Or the rising cost of food, groceries, and so forth, that they're like, you know what, I'm not willing to take this chance. There's other considerations that are in place. And so I'm going to say, well, they're not being selfish, they're being considerate. And while you're talking about the whole humanity piece, like they're doing their part, this is their part for humanity. Because one of the things that we all often overlook, because we recognize that women are biologically created to be the bearer of the seed, so to speak, the child. And so, but that's also life and death for us as well. So now we have a life and death situation that may also trigger family issues. Like, so for example, with Black women in particular, having 3 times their mortality rate when giving birth. So now that if they already have children, then those other children may miss out on having a mom, a husband, boyfriend, whatever, may miss out on having a significant other, because there's other things to consider. And the last thing, to boil it down to just our womb, like we are so much more evolved than just our womb, that we have other causes or life purposes than our womb, and we can feel that. So for example, just because I don't want to have a child, I could be a teacher and teach somebody else's child, right? I know, I see you. But at the end of the day, I'm just saying is that we are more than just our womb. And yes, that's a biological function, but it's not, even if I just don't consider it to be selfish, I consider it consideration, because there's more things to consider. Or look at the fact that there's so many single women in the world today. So we already know that a 2-parent home is better than a single parent home, correct? Unless there's been rising to show that single father homes actually have similar outcomes as 2-parent homes, but that's still a small number. So now we have all these single mothers. So why the hell would I want to be a single mother if the likelihood increases just because there's a bunch of piss in the pool that we already talked about as far as piss in the dating pool? So that's another consideration. And I think there's too many things to consider on why someone may not want to have children. In the case of Mary J., I honestly believe that her career, just the way her career went, and it may have not been an opportunity for her to have kids because it wasn't necessarily a priority for her because she was being fulfilled elsewhere. Whereas in Tracy Ellis Ross' case, she was like, oh man, I wish I would have had this, a child at least, or a partner and a child, because she's looking back on her life with regrets. And I think that's the difference between the two.
Like, this is what's wrong with y'all as human beings. Is most, like, we act like we don't owe people. We're not just here because we here. Like, our parents did something for us to be here. We move through the world like we don't owe ancestors. We don't owe the rest of humanity nothing. It's all about us, right? We talk about community, but then when there's moments for us to actually talk about community too, which is actually the creation of a community, we can't figure out how we can be community-minded in that way, but yet we want to talk about community, right? And this is what I'm saying. Y'all brought up all the reasons. Yes, the people are not coming together and maybe shouldn't have kids, but there are legit people who are just deciding to opt out, right? This is not that they're terrible. That's why I kept on going back to that. Y'all want to paint the worst pictures. I get that. You want to talk about consideration. For me, yes, I think most of us have consideration. But when you consider only you, when it's all about you, when you have no regard or very little regard for anybody else, that's when it's selfish.
No.
That's when it's selfish. Now, where we choose to draw the line of where selfish is, I get that, because each person has to make their own consideration. But like when we talk about buying Black, when we talk about the, voting and continuing the efforts, like we stand on so all I'm speaking to specifically is that I feel like sometimes we move through the world like we don't owe nobody nothing, and I don't agree with that. I do think we have responsibilities to people in general, whether it's to be kind, whether it's to look within, whether it's to be the healthiest version of ourselves. I also believe that, unfortunately, a lot of people are too busy listening to other motherfuckers and not making up their own minds and being tricked to think that, oh, I can have it all and I could do this, only to find out at the end of life that the bullshit they bought wasn't what was the most fucking important, right? And, right? Okay, great. Your mission in life was to be the marketing manager at a fucking corporation? Somehow, I get it that you felt like that has more value and more purpose in your life than being a parent, right? I get it. We're all fucked up. I get it. But some of us can still get some healing. Some of us actually have the resources. Some of us actually have the means to go out there, not only be a good parent to our own kids, but shit, maybe go adopt some of these niggas out here. Right? We talk this community shit, but outside the Black community part, we need human beings for the human race to continue. The fucking numbers are going down statistically in terms of, it was like 1.8 the last time that I looked, right? Yeah, the conversations about how men and women aren't coming together. There's enough things that are keeping us from actually procreating. So for the people who are in the position to do so, I'm sorry. Maybe it's up to you to keep it going. You know what I'm saying? Cool. Y'all want to abdicate responsibility, but that's cool. Let's talk about this next one, S&M. Keep that same energy for these men.
I'm telling you the same
thing. Keep that same energy when we talk about these men who also abdicate their responsibility, because I'm going to keep this same fucking energy.
Yes, I was going to say, you keep the same energy for the men as well who have decided to be childless over the age of 40. So the next story is so there's a clip where this woman was basically saying that men over 40, they're flexing like it's the 90s because they're single and childless. So we just talked about women being childless as in some cases, such as Nick, selfish, and other cases, consideration and respect. But anyways, so what do you guys think about men? Are men looked at differently, and why? And as a matter of fact, not only and why, but why should we look at them differently? Because it takes two to tango.
Okay, I'll go before I just, since we keep it right here, right?
Yeah, keep this energy, sir.
Yeah, I'm gonna get the same energy. So can you ask the question one more time so I can make sure I answer your question exactly?
Okay, so the question on the floor is, are men looked at differently, and why? And why should they be looked at differently if it takes two to tango?
Yes, men are looked at differently. Why are they looked at differently? Because men and women are different, right? It goes back to organs, science, biology, right? I'm trying to be quick. What was the other part?
And then I said, but why should they be looked at differently if it takes two to tango?
But why should they be looked at differently? Because they're different. Y'all got two X chromosomes. Y'all got X. I don't understand, because we both are involved in an act, why we should be looked at the same. Do we share a responsibility? Do we share some consideration, right? To your word, right?
Yes.
But it's not the same. We're not going to be the same, right? So if I'm asking your question, the answer to me is simple, because y'all are women and we are men. That's why we're not going to look at it the same, right? We have the ability to continue to procreate farther than y'all do. True or false? True. Yeah,
which is why it should be
so a man at 45 still has the opportunity to impregnate a woman, and maybe a woman at 45 does not have the same opportunity to be able to have a child. Are those the same? No. Science is not the same. So I don't understand why we would look at it the same. Y'all have biological clocks.
Men do too.
Is that come on, man. Is that associated with men in the same way is what I'm trying to say? Is that a social construct where y'all who want to try to Black Lives Matter every fucking thing? No, I'm saying biologically, y'all bleed every 28 days. We don't. You want more explanation, or I'll let the other?
So I want to go ahead and clear some things up for you, sir. So you guys have biological clocks as well. As a matter of fact, it's also been proven that the older the guy is, the more defects the child may have growing up, or the baby may have.
Can he still have the child?
And so
defected
if he has a woman there. But the point is that, so is he contributing to the rise of humanity when you just got done saying that certain people shouldn't procreate? So these old ass men, that 70, 80, should they be procreating? Because they're coming with
there's science to check if there's science to help them weed out through the good sperm.
There's science to help them weed out the good sperm. I'm saying that, and not only that, so not only do the sperm decline, but men biological clock also is ticking. So women actually can have kids, at least one. I don't know how she did it and why she did it at 66, by the way, now, even though she had to get a basically of somebody younger than her to agree with it. Those are rare
cases. Outliers to make these. We got to go there.
The point is, it's still there. So I just want to acknowledge that men have biological clock.
You're not doing
men's sperm, it causes defects. The older they get, they have also, as a matter of fact, men in general, based on their diet and their exercise, can also contribute to how the baby reacts as well.
Can they produce sperm?
Oh my goodness. I already said they can
Come on,
produce
man.
sperm.
Come on, man. You do
You
yourself a
nut.
disservice. It's not even an argument we're having. Go ahead,
Whatever.
man.
So
Go
it's
ahead.
okay,
I mean,
so it's flex. Go ahead. Sorry, Delvin.
I mean, you were making it worse the more you talk.
Whatever.
Listen, here,
Y'all just
look,
can't own up to
we
shit.
have biological clocks. Yes, nobody is denying that. Here's the question for you: are the clocks running at the same speed? That's a yes or no
I
question.
said no. I shook my head.
Okay. Then we're done.
Like I
That's
said, this is some
yeah.
bullshit. I'm calling BS on all of this.
That your
If you're
bullshit.
saying it's
You have to
if
take it up
it's the
with the
woman,
Lord.
if
It's
it's
natural
what I'm
selection.
saying is if the man if it's the woman's
Your
responsibility
beef
to
is with
serve humanity.
evolutionary biology.
No, what I'm saying is if the responsibility for humanity is put on the woman, well, the man controls the seed. So why is the responsibility to procreate put on the man as well?
How are
Because
we talking about the responsibility to procreate here?
Well,
right?
you
We're
the one
talking
who
about
said
men.
that it
somebody
was the
brought
woman's
in the responsibility to humanity
procreate.
for
You know,
previous
exactly.
owners.
You
That's
the
how
one
we
who
got
said
here.
the humanity.
The
So
woman,
why
yeah.
isn't the man responsibility to the same to humanity? Ultimately,
Because he doesn't have a womb.
his responsibility because he has the seed, also known as the key to impregnate the womb.
Yeah, but you don't
should
put
be
the
the
seed
same.
everywhere.
Let me ask you a question.
You don't drop your
You
seed
said they
everywhere.
put their seed
If you have
everywhere.
land that has fertile soil, right, and it's your job to grow food to provide, let's say, for
There
a
you go.
village or whatever, who has the responsibility to plant and to till and to to till? Like, is it the seed salesman? Hey, you guys want some seed?
Oh
No,
wow! So
it's the
you're saying
person
that
who
you
owns the land
disregard the
upon
seed.
which the
Okay.
garden can grow from.
Okay,
Like,
Johnny.
I don't understand.
Okay, Johnny Appleseed ass. I see you. I see you. So basically what you're saying is that the men, as long as they can basically shoot out seed, all is well, but that doesn't
No,
mean that
see,
it's their responsibility.
no, I'm gonna pass it to Jay. Go ahead, Jay, because I think you're
Okay.
listening with your emotional ears right now,
My
so you can't
emotional
hear what
ears.
I'm
I thought I was
saying.
hearing
But
a
go
woman
ahead,
niece.
Jay.
I want to put it in terms
I
of
heard you.
science. Okay, let's say natural selection. All right. We all know, and I could give an earlier shout out to the earlier story, like the Jayden Daniels. We all know that men are preyed upon because once a woman gets a man's seed, she's got not only his child, she now has his bank account, and she has his earnings for a good perceivable part of his future. So if a man's made it to 40 and been able to dodge like the Matrix, all of these shots coming at him, right, and he's still able to shoot and perform at what he needs to perform, then he has shown through like the natural selection that he is a survivor. Therefore, he should be puffing his chest out and beating his chest, as opposed to a woman if she's had like 8 kids and 4 different babies, daddies or whatever, and she's 40. It's a different look. Or if a woman who has no kids, right? I'm not hating on her. Everybody got choices. It's all different people. But if you're taking a position that a woman's special function in life and what makes her special and distinctive from men and pedestal worthy is her womb, and she chooses not to use that womb, right? Then it's not a flex if she's 40 and hasn't chosen to use the thing that was making her special, quote unquote, if that was the thing, right? That's why it's different.
Okay, so
Yes.
I understand what you're saying. So this is what I'm going to say. So the woman is this womb, right? That's our soul source. So I guess that's why
Nobody
we
said
now
so.
have.
That's I didn't say
I
that.
guess
I didn't say that.
that's our soul
I
purpose
didn't
and
say
shit.
that.
So
I
I
didn't
guess
say that.
that's why they have so many laws now being put in place, which forces the woman to give birth. But y'all can populate the whole wide world because you just a seed dropper. So if you just a seed dropper, then go find the woman who want to drop seed, have that seed implanted in her ass, and be happy and move on. Stop trying to make it the responsibility of women who don't want children to have those children, is what I'm saying. Find the people that match your energy. If you want them to if you want to populate the world, find the woman who also wants to populate the world, and leave the women who are not willing to populate the world for whatever reason, or don't want to or can't populate the world alone. That's what I'm saying. If that's the whole thing, then there wouldn't be laws that's currently in place to try to force women to give birth. And I understand that we're talking about the 1.8. So the 1.8, by the way, is by groups, just to clarify, and by countries, right? So in Africa, as an example, even though we're not in Africa, their rate is 6.6. As in for you already know what that means. And then, but since we're in America, for the Black community, it's actually 2.2 right now, and it's 1.8 for white. It's 4.6 for Hispanics, which is why they're all about the immigration control partially as well. So all that being said, is that it's not everybody who's not having kids anymore. There's a certain group of people who have concerns about the fact that their group is no longer having kids, and there has been a decline because what one group does, the Black community have a tendency in America to follow. but the world continues to populate itself. But once again, the sole point that I'm about to make is if you want to be Johnny Appleseed ass nigga, then go ahead and find you a woman who's receptive to your Appleseed and fertilize her land. Don't go and find a woman who don't want to, and then don't try to shame her into trying to have a child, because her purpose, while you say her womb is her purpose, whether she can have it or can't have the child, she may find purpose and validation in something else. Like I said, the community, you talk about the community aspect, there are people who can be teachers to those children. There's people who can
teacher and a mom.
What you say?
You could be a teacher and a mom. You just talking. You just talking. Like, you could be a teacher and a mom.
But that's not. They don't feel that's their purpose. They don't want to have children. They want to be other. You know what I'm saying? It's the whole.
No, you're not. This
I am hearing. I heard.
This is why I'm saying you're not listening with emotional ears. Let me ask you a question. Do you not think that there are some women out here who are listening to rhetoric that's not true to themselves, that will find themselves down the road regretting certain decisions, like not having kids? You think that's possible?
I would agree if they're not being true to themselves, but they need to reflect on themselves and their decisions.
I thought I was very clear. I'm talking, I don't think y'all really get it. There's a lot of people out here moving. We've heard enough conversations. Oh, women are out here acting like this. And we'll say, no, they're not. Y'all listening to podcasts, and we'll hear how people are letting things influence their decisions in real time. Agree or disagree? Does anybody disagree with that? Okay, so what I'm saying is that I'm hearing a lot of young women on this fucking fake ass, oh, I want to be the rich auntie train, not thinking about the implications down the road. Because what they're doing is abdicating the desire for having children or a family because they're being selfish. I just rather do what I want to do. I just want to always consider me and not have to consider anybody else. And at some point in time, that level of selfishness, when you hear about it down the road, a la Tracy Ellis Ross, she probably packaged it neatly and whatnot, but she probably didn't tell you all the other therapy she had to go through to arrive at whatever version of healing that she arrived at. So yes, for the woman who's thought through the implications, sure, don't have kids. What I'm saying is there are a lot of people who are making choices that are not their own. And beyond that, because we've become more selfish, we're only thinking about our timelines and ourselves, there are a lot of ways that we're seeing selfish behavior manifest itself. So how is it not possible for y'all to imagine that there's a group of people, and I'm sorry, when y'all were the ones blessed and cursed with a womb, it's not a knock. It's just is what it is. It doesn't, we're not the same, right? So I'm saying, given that environment, y'all can't imagine a space and a place where people are being conditioned to run away from blackness, to run away from humanity, from running away from community. Y'all think, oh, it's just Nick trying to be a chauvinist? No. Because guess what, SNM, you talk about just go out there and be a seed dropper. Guess what? In our community, there's a lot of women who are already becoming seed receptacles or receptacles, whatever the proper word is. So what the fuck are we talking about? Women who probably shouldn't be having kids are already having kids. So that's not even an argument that we're really having for real, because for the women who are educated, and what you didn't talk about, though, as far as that 2.2 number, the more money you have, the more education you have, et cetera, that number goes down. So if you're talking about the 2.2 for all the black folks, guess what happens? The niggas who get uppity, the niggas who have, the niggas who ascend, sometimes they don't have the same feeling of responsibility to the community. Agree or disagree? If we're talking about economically, oh, he got rich and he gets with a white girl. Yeah, guess what? When people get better off, they feel less responsible for everybody else, including those women who are more educated, making more money, who are making the decision to be all about themselves, to the point that they can't even find another man to get with to even have kids in the first fucking place. How is it not selfish? Sorry.
Okay,
What are we talking about?
I want to go ahead and let this one go simply because I don't want to go down the railroad tracks of, oh, so we talking about responsibility and community responsibility, and I want to stop it there because you know what I was about to do was a whataboutism. So I'm going to stop it right there so we can stay on time and on track here.
Speaking of Black Girls Lost, you know what I'm saying? And maybe Quinta has found herself again after her and her white cane are no longer a thing after she filed for divorce back in March. Now, I mean, come on. Why are we really talking about this? Now, there was a couple of reasons. Number one, there was a story that we saw in our timelines questioning whether or not interracial relationships are considered Black love, right? There's a conversation amongst Black women in terms of, hey, man, if you can't get a brother to act right, because we did it with, this is the same show that did the whole, our black men husband material. So I know we ain't doing that, right? It was just a couple of weeks ago. So clearly, if Princess saw that episode and got the impression that we weren't and found her a white king, apparently that's a thing, right? So what are y'all thoughts? Is it over for the myth of the white Kang savior? I feel like we're hearing more stories where, unfortunately, these interracial relationships that were supposed to be the haven for black women to get away from these, it's not working out. What are y'all thoughts? Is it black love? You know how y'all feel about Quinting on her relationship.
I'll answer the first thing, the black love question. The Quinting on the her interracial relationship could happen for a lot of reasons. So I won't even bother to go in on that. I have dated outside of just black women. I've dated multiple different races. Judge me if you want to, but you don't go to Baskin Robbins and only try one flavor. You know what I'm saying? The tub that you buy might be just one flavor, but damn it, it's 31. You should sample. So anyway, as far as the black love goes, I would say that none of those interludes that I had that were interracial would, I think, count as black love. Because although the women could have a love for me as a black man, you know what I mean? My love for them wasn't because of the richness of black heritage that I saw in them, or their appreciation, understanding of it, or their embodiment of what I thought it meant to be black. Clearly, right? It was my interest in them was based clearly in something else because that aspect wasn't there. So no, I think for it to be black love, it's got to be like FUBU, before it got bought out. Ironic, right? For us, by us. You know what I mean? That's what it's got to be. It's for it to be black love. That's it, though. What you got to say?
Well, you know what? This is another white king bites the dust. I mean, if you can't make it work with Brad, then I don't know what to tell you. Somehow I'm sure this is a black man's fault. Because we didn't support Brad. Like I don't know. At some point, the sisters, the quote unquote swirlers. At some point, the swirlers are gonna have to take a look in the mirror, and it might be you. You may just be so insufferable that no man of any race wants to make an honest woman out of you. That's a you issue. But I am rooting for the white kings. I mean, hopefully, the women who want to swirl can swirl on out and do their thing and not blame me and my fellow brothers for their relationship shortcomings or not wanting to act right. Black men not acting right has nothing to do with our melanin content. That's my personal opinion. I'm not wearing that jacket. So hopefully she'll figure it out, and maybe she can make her way down the ethnic tree, and maybe Enrique or Lee will act right. I don't know. Tragic day for white kings. They took a L.
Yeah. So the first thing I just want to point out that while she may have not worked out with her husband, traditionally or statistically, currently right now, is still a higher success rate between Black women and any other group. It's just not so I just want to point that out, i.e., as far as the divorce rate, there's a lowest divorce rate amongst Black women and white men for some strange reason. But amongst all the groups, there's actually a low divorce rate with Black women, except for when paired ironically with Black men, which is something that we really need to talk about, even though 85% of Black men and women are married to each other. As far as the white Kangs thing, because I think it's funny they're called white Kangs and not white kings. But I understand, we can't call them kings if we're calling our Black men kings and whatnot. Quinta, I never heard her talk poorly about Black men. So I don't think it was a matter of her shitting on Black men on the way out the door. I think the people who I will have problem with are the Black women who shit on Black men on their way out the door while they're divesting from the community. They're saying it's because Black men ain't shit, or Black men are creating single women or single mothers across all the racial divides, or all the commentary that they have in regards to Black men, criminal thugs, all the stereotypes and narratives. Now, if they're saying all of that to justify them going to their white king, then that's a problem. Just like it's a problem if the Black man is talking all that shit about Black women, saying that this is why they're dating white. So if it's due to proximity, if it's due to like you love who you love, then there's no shit talking. In regards to Quinta, I'm actually surprised. One, I didn't even know she was married. And two, I'm not surprised though that it was a white dude. I don't know why I'm not surprised it was a white dude. I felt like if she was, it was going to be a white dude. And so I agree that, the fact that they didn't have any children, this is a plus. I don't know what happened in their relationship. They're not really disclosing it. As a matter of fact, a lot of people didn't even know that she was married until she announced that she was getting divorced. So they kept it pretty hush hush. And that makes me wonder as well about the private piece of this. Like, was it private because there was some shame associated with it? Or was it private because they wanted to make sure, since they're celebs, that their private life stays private? I'm hoping it's the latter, because I didn't understand why no one knew she was even married, to be honest. Not saying I follow celebs like that. In regards to the interracial relationship, can that be Black love? Some people will argue that that is Black love. I'm going to argue that it's not. And it's not because I'm racist or anything, but it's because it's interracial love. So therefore it can't be Black love just by the fact that it's interracial. And even the kids, if they go on, they'll be attracted to whoever they're attracted to. And so they may have a Black family, but nowadays, even though Black families that are interracial are asking to be identified as either mixed families or interracial, biracial, and so forth. And I think we should pay homage to that and give them that so that they can maintain both aspects of their identity. Black love to me is blackly black, black, black. And so Black man with Black woman. And so that's what I'm going to go with. Even if one of them half Black or a quarter Black, it's still Black man, Black woman, So that's my thing right there.
Okay. Well, first of all, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if she was ashamed of old boy, but maybe there was reasons why she didn't necessarily want it out there on Front Street. So I do want to say that I find these type of stories interesting because first thing I go to is the difference between how Black men look at Black women dating out versus how Black women, right? So for example, I feel like when Black women see a Black guy dating out, even if they don't want the nigga, they may still feel some type of way about it, right? Where I feel like on the other side, Black guys, we're like, if we didn't want the shorty, woo, thank you for taking her off of our hands. We glad she found somebody. Glad she found love. She wasn't going to find it here. So that's the first thing that I'll say, right? And so with that being said, for me, I want love for everybody. You dig what I'm saying? And so if she had found love through her white Kang, I ain't mad. And I could also be honest enough to see that she probably could have had some challenges finding love with the Black Kang, depending on the type of Black Kang that she wanted. Ironically, I find that when Black women date out, though, the same prototype of the white dude that they'll settle for is not the same prototype of the Black dude they'll settle for. Like, in other words, it's probably a Black guy version of the white dude, but she wouldn't be feeling him. Something about him being white makes it work out, right? Because whenever they want to deal with the brothers, he got to be on some boss shit, but then they'll go to the other side and deal with the guy who's in the stock room, right? Whatever. So I'm not saying that's Quinta, but that is there a little bit, right? And so as far as I'm concerned, listen, man, I want Quinta to be great. You know what I mean? I think she has a great spirit, probably a great personality. She's very talented. So I think all of those things, I'm hoping that a Black king can see the value in her, and she too seeing the value in that Black king, and then bringing it back to the Black love thing. You dig what I'm saying? But if she does find love and it happens to be another white Kang, I will look at her a little differently, because now you know what I mean? Like, now, one time is all right. I would love who you love. 2 times, you start to be like, But I will say this, though, because prior to her meeting old boy, did we really know who she was? So since they've been together, now we know who she is. She got awards and she got a couple of dollars. So I gotta imagine there's probably some brothers out there who will now check for her a little bit more. So I think her likelihood is of finding a brother to holler at her, I think is high. I'm not sure where she's at in her divorce, but listen, if she needs some training, some consulting, I got you, Quinta. I'll let your boy, I'll get you right. But we wish him nothing but the best. But shout out to all the white Kangs out there who are realizing some of the same shit that we've been doing.
I might call bullshit on some
We
of the stuff
support
you
you,
about
white
to
Kings.
say. First of all, when you say you ain't never heard the Black men, y'all be like, oh, y'all took him off my hands. That's not true. Because if you think about Kamala, they all talked about her being a bad wench, and all these other derogatory terms that was associated with her being married to a white man, or even
that was because she was trying to vie for power and expected them to vote for her. That's a different situation.
What I'm saying, that's the most high profile one, but that's actually goes on in social media as well, where these women are being called bed wenches for succumbing to the white king syndrome, so to speak.
Well, you clearly missed something, and I was being nice about it, right? Kamala was still attractive. So there's a difference between, dead ass, right? I remember I said that I think when it comes to like women, y'all just hate the whole idea of it. So it doesn't matter whether or not the guy's attractive or whatever, y'all just hate it, right? But I think for some men, and I'll say myself, if I'm being honest, right? You'll look at a situation, you'll think to yourself, yeah, she wasn't finna find nobody over here, so thank God she went over there. But there are some where you're like, and I think Kamala is one of them, where you're like, oh, damn, what? Was she think she's too good? And so it does elicit some of that the same way that I think a lot of Black women feel sometimes. So there's some similarities there. I'm just saying the difference is if she's attractive, that's different. If she's not attractive, thank God. Thanks, Brad. Appreciate you. You know what I'm saying? Y'all hate regardless. Am I lying?
No, you're not wrong. Yeah, even if it's a guy they don't want, they're like he if it's like the anime nerd Black guy, I'm just throwing out a stereotype.
Yeah.
And people like, I don't want, even if she likes street dudes, she's mad the anime guy found him an anime chick that's rocking with. She's still mad, even though she didn't want him.
Yeah, like nobody was mad that Gabrielle Thibodeau. Nobody was mad that Gabrielle Thibodeau did her thug thizzle. We was like, oh, that's what's up, fam.
We are totally okay
we
with
wishing
that.
you nothing but
that's
the
because
best.
Y'all only saw her as precious. Y'all didn't see her inner spirit. But it's all good.
Nic, you didn't see her inner spirit. Shame on you.
Look, I'm just going to say this. Just like he went and got him a big Black woman, a lot of times when Black women see Black men with a white woman, she's either looking like the Wicked Witch of the West, or she's also on the big Black side, but yet Black women get clowned for being on the big side themselves. And so it's some of those contradictions. But more importantly, sometimes, and I would just say this, sometimes it's also because they're quick to call Black women gold diggers and so forth just for asking for something, but then they have a different expectation for the woman that they're dating if they're a white woman. Where they have no problem with being the provider and the protector. And I'm not saying this for all Black men don't have the capability or have a problem with it, but in our community, when we're so quick to call Black women, oh, you're a gold digger just because you want protection or provision or whatnot, but these other races aren't greeted with that same type of animosity. I honestly believe that between the Black man and the Black woman, there just needs to be some dialogue to start dispelling some of these harmful narratives that put us in this position where we're constantly talking down to each other. And at the end of the day, if it is love, then let it be love. If it is, and that's why I pointed out earlier, as long as you're not shitting on your race on your way out the door, then that makes me more unlikely to believe that is love.
Jay, you have some pushback, but before you do, I want to push back too real quickly because it is not the same as no. It is the same. When I see certain brothers with certain white girls, I do look at them with a side eye too. I ain't even going with you because I'm like, bro, for real. But then I'm like, nah, you know what? I get it, right? That's just the market that he can afford to be in. You dig what I'm saying? Because I can understand that maybe, and that's the truth. A lot of these brothers will tell you like, hey, nobody was checking for me, so I had to go over here. I am not mad at people finding the market that works for them, right? For the most part. And I think there's a lot of less attractive people who are learning to shop at Aldi's, is all I'm saying. But go ahead, Jay.
Now, I've seen people do it successfully, and those are generally people who are successful. I think if you are a broke dude, you go get you a broke swirl. If you know what I'm saying? If you're successful, you go get you what's Ice Cube's lady's name? Coco? Get you some Coco.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's what you do. So it probably didn't help the conversation, but to SNM's point, it's not the gold digging issue is not a color thing. It's like, what else are you bringing? If all you're bringing is needs, then yes, you're digging. If you're showing me where some mines are, now you're a fellow prospector. Maybe they are the opinion that in some places there are more people who are suggesting where there are mines than are just saying, hey, give me gold.
I don't know. That could be a possibility. I would just say that now I'm just going to go on anecdotal personal type experience that in the community that I've seen, it's always been where they really was like, they expected the Black woman to bring so much to the table. But then when they got with a white woman or a woman of another race, it was okay for that woman not to work. It was okay for that woman to be a stay-at-home wife and not even a stay-at-home mom because they didn't have kids at the time. It was okay because for them, that was like a badge of honor. But for the Black woman, it was like, you need to bring this to the table, and that to the table. Now I'm a fan of bringing shit to the table just because I think that I'm saying for me personally,
No,
I'm
where are
a
you
fan
seeing
of it.
this? Where are you seeing
So,
this?
so in the
Yeah.
community in which I reside in, there are a lot of women, and especially, and you know what, to be honest, in the military, that happens a lot, where military men will marry outside their race, and that race will be stay-at-home parents and so forth, or stay-at-home wives and so forth. But that same military man will then later on, if he get a divorce, will marry a Black woman or get with a Black woman, and the expectations are completely different. Or sometimes it be vice versa, where they have a Black woman
Ooh.
and they divorce her, and then they marry a white woman, and the expectations are. I'm just saying it happens. I don't know
They're
if
different
it's
points of their lives, though. If you already went through one marriage, maybe you're going to approach a second marriage differently. Why is that on the
I would
basis
hope
of
so.
color, though?
because what I'm saying is that ultimately, because we have so much harmful narratives towards each other, that it shows up in our relationships and how we handle our relationships and deal with each other. So, for example, just us having this conversation, right? There could be somebody who's like, oh, because they're viewing Black women a certain way. You know how one of your comments was like, oh, you may be the problem because. So I do agree it could be a you problem, but the generalization was like, oh, now everybody else see what we're dealing with. These white men are now seeing what we're dealing with, which was a generalization about Black women. And so that's already coming with a narrative. So if you're coming with a narrative that's already harmful, then you're more likely to see that narrative in your relationship.
Okay. Jay, did you have pushback before I go? No. He's like, nah, okay, well, you know what? Maybe it's a good place to pin it there, right? Because I was trying to figure out, like, we started going down a road of like stereotypes in the interracial dating part. I do kind of get that. So maybe this is a good place to park it right here. So how about final thoughts, y'all? What do y'all will let SNM have the final word on the downfall of white Kangs? Comment in the section below if you have any more thoughts on that. So before we get up out of here, who want to start?
Yeah, I think
Final thought. Go ahead, Delvin.
Yeah. I think tonight's show. I think we had a lot of the thread that I saw through all of the things we talked about was opportunity cost. Whether it's delaying childbearing, right, for men and for women, both think there's an opportunity cost. Borrowing $3,800 from your ex, that was an opportunity. The opportunity came with a cost. And anything you do, there's an opportunity cost. So try to keep those things in mind and try to make the best decision you can. And just remember, there are no perfect solutions. There are only trade-offs.
Real talk.
All right, Jay.
Yeah, tonight's got me thinking more about DEI. You know what I mean? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. You know what I mean? It's got me thinking more about how important it is to have all kinds of different people who play different parts. You know, you got the mom who's the wingman. You know, you got the super auntie. You know what I mean? You have all these people who are choosing these different roles. You got the uncle who don't really claim nobody's kids and couldn't tell you their name. And ain't nobody uncle. He just paid and glad he ain't got no kids. But as long as they're serving the community and contributing something, then maybe they're all part of a village. Maybe they're all contributing to helping, provide an environment. So I'm saying, let's not try to get everybody to be the same. Just know that in this great place, we all have a role. Just make sure you're contributing something and you can stand up and say, listen, this is what I'm giving back. This is how I'm moving the thing that I believe in forward. We don't all have to have kids. We don't all have to do the same thing. We should just have a reason for doing it and know that we're doing something that gives back.
So I'm going to land with two things. The first one is about decision making. I think throughout the show, the common thread was standing 10 toes down on your decision, whether that's being a straight man who's going to play a gay man or not, or standing 10 toes down on your decision to go ask your ex for money, or 10 toes down to be the son husband, treat your son as a son husband, but it turns out she's an agent, so she also have that investment, or the decision for Quinta and her husband to divorce. Whatever the case may be, from childless, either as a woman or as a man, it's all about decisions and making sure you're making those appropriate decisions for yourself in your life, and that those decisions, that you're not regretful of those decisions. But even if you are at some point or someday, or whatever the case may be, it's still a part of life. So final thought is this is all about decisions, standing 10 toes down on your decisions. And the last thought, though, was Jay, you lost that bet, because the bet was he was not going to make her his fiance and get married. And they're getting married at the end of this month. So you lost that bet.
Are they married yet? Are they married yet?
No, the date
Were they married by draft?
This met. We didn't say by draft. Did we say by draft? I don't recall it saying that.
We'll go back to the tape. We'll have to go back to the tape to see.
Go back.
We'll settle. I mean, I know Jay's going to handle his responsibility, so I ain't worried about that.
Yeah. Because my responsibility is to collect my money. So I'm going to handle my responsibility.
I think you lost, sir.
Bet you about $1.
I mean, did we bet for mine? Because I was willing to buy the jersey. Do y'all owe me something for that LeBron thing, or that was just me?
I don't think that.
No, that was you just going in, sir.
You just out
all right,
there.
Cool beans.
We jammed you up.
Now, I know, between the disclaimer and us having fun, and sometimes I'm half joking, sometimes I'm not. But I genuinely do believe that, like, a lot of us are being tricked out of our blessing. We're being tricked out of our peace of mind. We're being tricked out of a lot of things. We're getting messages all the time that's making us dissatisfied, right? With life, discontent. You get what I'm saying? Like, honestly, you'll have people who will be searching for purpose and think that purpose has to come through a job. Is that really what purpose has to come through? Like, we prioritize that purpose over the purpose of community building or family building, right? So I get it. I might sound a certain type of way, but I legit feel like a lot of us are being tricked out of our blessing, out of our God-given talent and God-given abilities, for real, for real. Can you imagine what that would be like? So I get it. I might sound a certain type of way, but I genuinely believe, right, there's a lot of people out here who are lost. And I would just encourage people to really try to find a way to tap into themselves and not live life for other people. Some of y'all say y'all want to be rich aunties, but what y'all really are saying is that I don't have the tools necessary, I don't have the faith necessary or the courage necessary to think I can find somebody. So I'm going to resolve myself, because I heard it on social media and it sounds cute, going to prioritize me, and then you end up at a point in life when you realize there was more to you than that in the first place. And you let somebody trick you out of your blessing just because somebody else got tricked out of theirs. So I get it. It may sound chauvinist for a man to say this, but I am a man who got here through a womb. So when I prioritize how important the womb is, I would think all of us would recognize there is no balance in that. That is supreme. That's how the fuck we got here. So yeah, it might sound chauvinist, but that's only if you want it to sound that way. So hopefully you'll be open to hearing a little bit differently than what I'm really actually saying. So with that being said, don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, share, and all that good stuff. And if you disagree with me, I dare you to tap into the comment section, because I promise you, you don't want the smoke unless you really do. You know what you might want, though? Check out the BLC store for the merch. On behalf of myself and SNM and Just Jay and Delvin the Expert, we want to wish our girl Tia much love. Get better, boo. We'll see you next time. Until then, be easy. Peace.